Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and today I am bringing you a ranking video. This time we'll be ranking all 9 of the DisneyNature releases. DisneyNature is a subdivision of Disney that releases family-friendly documentaries about nature. All of them revolve around animals of some sort. They theme them out. They release them around Earth Day almost annually, and then donate proceeds from that opening week of box office sales to a charity that works with and works to help not only animals featured in the movie you just watched, but also the habitats in their environment. So being the big kind of like nature documentary nerd that I am, the animal lover that I am, I actually love all 9 of these films. I really enjoyed them all. I think that what DisneyNature does is beautiful work. Not only is it admirable for the cause, but they are really well-crafted, well-made films. So when it comes to years like this year where we don't get one, I'm left a little bit sad. I feel a little bit empty. Don't know what to do with myself around Earth Day. So this year I decided, since they're not giving us a new feature to review and watch together, let's go ahead and rank the 9 they have already released. So this is, of course, my personal ranking, how much I enjoy watching them. And like I said, I really like all 9 of them. So being number 9 on this list is just a number, basically, because I still enjoy it. But coming in at number 9 is Wings of Life. So you'll also notice I at least own them all on DVD and or Blu-ray. So clearly I do like them and like to support the cause. But Wings of Life is one of the 2 features from the DisneyNature line that was released straight to Blu-ray and DVD. They do have other supplementary like teaching tools, but I didn't count those for the purpose of this ranking. Only the films that were made for the purpose of being films. Wings of Life is narrated by Meryl Streep and follows one of the biggest, most grand, and amazing migrations in not only the insect kingdom, but all of animal kingdom. So we learn about bees and butterflies and birds and what they mean to this ecosystem, and again, this huge, beautiful butterfly migration, and then how it all ties in. We get to learn about flowers. It is a very informative video, I think. Maybe one of the more informative of the features that DisneyNature has released. We really do get a lot of information in this film. However, the material just isn't as exciting. The story that we're given isn't as engaging as most of the other stories. Inherently, it's already a little bit harder to connect with insects than it is with mammals in particular. But then we get these big migration stories that look beautiful. Oh, so many of the hummingbird shots and the flower shots, and especially those butterfly shots, are absolutely stunning. But the material itself, the writing in particular, isn't as lively, it isn't as engaging. So that's why Wings of Life ended up being number 9. At number 8, I have Earth. Earth is absolutely stunning. Just a beautiful, beautiful documentary. And it's narrated by James Earl Jones, one of the most recognizable, wonderful voices within cinematic history. So the thing that both enhances Earth, but also holds it back from making it further up my list, is that we cover all of planet Earth. There's not a particular species or several species that we're really focusing in on. We're not looking at individual stories and following them through time. We're really exploring all of these different species and going to the different continents and just exploring the Earth and learning about all of these different places. And I think that is very interesting and keeps us moving. However, it is basically an abridged version of Planet Earth from BBC. So of course it's beautiful, of course it is gorgeous to look at and definitely worth a cinematic experience, but it's a little bit more of been there, done that, and you don't have anything to emotionally latch on. It's more just the experience of seeing this beauty on the big screen. At number 7, I have Oceans. Oceans is very similar to their first production, Earth, in the fact that we're just kind of like scouring the oceans. We're going through all these different water creatures, we're learning about the oceans in general as ecosystems, and we're not really following a little pod or a little school of fish. We're just learning about all of the oceans and a lot of different aquatic animals. However, there are some key moments in Oceans that differentiate it from Earth in both good and bad fashions that kind of had me teetering to put it here at number 7. So what didn't work so well were the human bits. We did get like actual kids on beaches, and it felt a little bit extra heavy-handed when we got to those moments where it's like, okay, we're really pushing this message and there's not much nuance to go here. As for Pierce Brosnan, he was fine, but also felt a little bit sleepy. He was just so calm and quiet throughout everything that I needed a little bit more excitement. But what really sells it are a few key moments and just amazing scenes that happen in this film. I think the segment that takes place with the walruses in this movie is so touching and is absolutely amazing. I fell in love with these walruses, and it was just for a short bit of time, but it was such an endearing and beautiful moment between the baby and the mother that it really stood out to me. And the other sequence that really stood out to me was this coming together of all of these different predatory species that were working in tandem all on this huge school of fish. And it was such a glorious and breathtaking experience within the theater for me that it's always stuck in my head as one of the defining moments of any of the DisneyNature films. I just found it to be absolutely amazing to watch. But even with that, it's hard to connect as we're bouncing around. The narration is a little bit weaker than most of these other films, and the human bits were just too heavy-handed, and that's why it's at number 7. At number 6, I have Monkey Kingdom. So honestly, starting here with Monkey Kingdom, I start to really enjoy these films. And while recognizing their flaws, I still think they are fantastic films for what they are. Monkey Kingdom is a fabulously endearing film with these adorable monkeys, their cute little haircuts, and this really interesting yet relatable and kind of fun story of hierarchy and the hierarchy within this monkey society. And I thought it was very interesting to learn, and it was presented in a way that everybody could understand and relate to, which was fantastic. Tina Fey gives maybe my favorite narration of any of the DisneyNature films. I really think she brought a life and an energy to Monkey Kingdom. She was having fun, and she really livened the material and brought it to life. And I think she does a lot of heavy lifting here, actually. What kind of bumps Monkey Kingdom down to number 6 for me, though, is we have at least 2 or 3 scenes within the film that feel very staged. And it does bring a little bit of documentary moral standard into question. Did they interfere with the lives of the monkeys? If so, it feels like it does break the code of making nature documentaries. You're supposed to be there to observe and report, but without interfering in what is actually happening before you. And in general, even if those scenes by some chance aren't staged, they do feel a little bit too hokey. They felt a little bit too cartoony, to the point where you're like, okay, let's get back to kind of the documentary portion of this, please. But it's still a very enjoyable, very sweet and cute film to watch. At number 5, I have African Cats. Samuel L. Jackson delivered a really fun narration for me on this one. He's really feeling the tension and really trying to bring the drama into this story. And I think this is actually a really solid, strong film. What I love about African Cats is that we are watching predators, and it does a really good job of just showing nature. It's just showing what these lions have to do, and to a point, making children understand why predators do what they do. They showed them with their babies and in desperate situations. A couple of other films a little bit further up this list I think also aim to do that, but African Cats was the first one to really go there. And we're following these cheetahs and these lions. Both are very interesting stories. And in particular, those baby cheetahs were just so adorable. All of the cheetahs in this movie were just so adorable. I think the only thing that really keeps this from moving higher up on my list is the little bit of melodrama that is injected here. We really get a narrative from Samuel L. Jackson's character, in particular with the lions and the battles and the back and forth. It feels like a narrative, and it feels a little bit dramatic, and I think if it had toned down those dramatics just a bit, and that's all to do with the screenplay, this would have been a very, very solid film. And it also is a little bit of a sad one. And that creates kind of a weird transition here, because I think the material is aimed toward at least somewhat of an older child, maybe in the 6 to 10 range, because it is heavier. It's a little bit sadder, it's a little bit more scary, it's a little bit more intense, but that narration is just so dramatic that you're like, oh, okay, it doesn't quite add up. At number 4, I have The Crimson Wing, Mystery of the Flamingos. This is the second of 2 films that DisneyNature didn't release theatrically. It was released onto Blu-ray and DVD, but that's about it. But I think this one is a very strong film. For certain aspects, I can understand why they didn't release it into theaters, but really I think as a narrative and as filmmaking, this is one of their strongest entries to date. First of all, it is very singular in focus, which I think is partially why it didn't get released. We are focused fully on flamingos. But the great thing is, it tells a story and gives education on an animal that many of us don't really know much about. We see flamingos, we think they're beautiful and pink, but I don't think a lot of people actually know why they have that pink color and what these birds do. And I think that's really the strong point of Mystery of Flamingos, is it tells a story of animals that most of us don't know much about. And really, it's an interesting, really fascinating story. And what really aids this film is that, one, flamingos are very cinematic in look. That vibrant pink is just absolutely gorgeous. But 2, there are some real emotional stakes here. And this is the saddest of any of the DisneyNature films. It goes there, it is not afraid, it tells hard truths, and some of the imagery is absolutely heartbreaking, and it's all aided by the best score within the series so far. I think the score within this movie is stunning. It's actually fantastic, period. Not just for this line of films, it's just a really strong score. I think the reason it didn't quite make my top 3 is that we don't have specific little families to focus in on. So this film is definitely about learning about a species, period. A species at large, and not really focusing in on a family to teach about that species. We're just learning about them all and the heartaches and triumphs of that species, which I think is both an aid and a hindrance maybe, but I really think this is a very solid film, and possibly their most sophisticated film to date. At number 3, I have Born in China. Last year's DisneyNature theatrical release comes in all the way up at number 3. I had a really good time with Born in China. These pandas are adorable to begin with, and again, they're kind of little superstars amongst themselves. They are already ready to just show off and be cute and have a whole movie made about them. But what I loved about Born in China is that we went beyond just pandas. We learned about cranes. Of course, we learned about these little adorable monkeys. And we learned about snow leopards, all native to China. This film did a better job than any of the others on this list of enriching you in the culture of where these animals live. How these different animals affect the culture of the people and have influenced different cultural aspects throughout history. This one also has stakes. We do focus in on the snow leopard, a predator, and much like African cats, I think we really bond and understand her predatory nature, and we get to bond with these little kittens, and it also is a very tense and sad and a bit of a straining experience as you go along with her Thankfully, we have the little monkeys and the panda bears to kind of lift us back up as we're going through a much more serious story with the snow leopards. What keeps Born in China out of my top 2, however, is that I think the narration again and John Krasinski go a little bit overboard. They really get into that like hokey jokey type of deal throughout the film. And while I think the pandas and the snow leopards, the stories that they depict are pretty straightforward, with a little bit of comedy sprinkled in or a little bit of drama, the monkey story here feels almost completely manufactured. It is very heavy-handed. You can feel the script just riding in a whole lot for these monkeys, which I thought was a bit much. But overall, it's maybe the cutest of all of the films in the series, and I really appreciated its attempt at integrating them with the Chinese culture. At number 2, I have Chimpanzee. So choosing between number 2 and number 1 for me was very hard. I mean, they are basically tied at number 1. But for the purposes of a ranking, I have Chimpanzee here at number 2. So what this film does so well is that the filmmakers basically lucked into an incredible story. They started following this group of chimpanzees, and something tragic happens, and that often can happen in a nature documentary because you're following wild animals, and maybe they had a certain narration in their head as they were following through, but this event completely changed the direction of the film, completely changed the direction of their narration, even completely changed the release date and schedule in which they were able to get this out. But what they got was an amazing story about this little chimpanzee who is basically adopted by the alpha male of their group. Pretty much unheard of. Like, it's not something that happens very often. And it was such a heartwarming, adorable, fantastic story. First of all, chimpanzees are little stars. They are hams, they are ready, they show off. They're so smart, they're so funny and cute that automatically they're just endearing to the camera. But our main little guy, Oscar, oh, he's precious. He is so cute. And his connection with this alpha male chimp is so endearing, and I think that's what this movie does so well. And the drama here, the two groups going at battle here, feels genuine. I think it felt genuine in stuff like African Cats as well, when we had competition, and even Born in China's snow leopard piece with the competition over territory. It felt real. But we got it with not a cat this time. We got it with primates, and I think it really showed lots of sides to these great apes. So honestly, I don't really have complaints for Chimpanzee. I think it is a fantastic family film, a great documentary to have your kids watch. But at number 1, I'm going to go ahead and place Bears. So the reason I decided to go ahead and place Bears as my number 1 favorite DisneyNature film is because it does everything. I think it gets all of the different aspects of what you want from a family-friendly documentary. Again, we are following predators. We are following a mother bear and cubs as they make their way to the, salmon haven that they are on their way to throughout the majority of the film. We follow them from hibernation up into the point that they get to their desired location. And this movie doesn't hold back. It shows the bears as they are. It shows them as predators mostly of fish, but we also get to see their different types of aggressive behavior, as well as their really cute behavior. And these baby bears are so cute. I fell in love with the baby bears in this film. But there is drama here, but again, it doesn't feel manufactured, really, even in the slightest. But we get this wonderful, really authentic feeling narration from John C. Reilly, who kind of is like a teddy bear within himself, but he brings so much humor, so much color, without making it feel like hokey and jokey. It felt just perfect for the film he was narrating. And of course we get to see a few other animals along the way. But this one will make you aw and oh and how cute it is. It will make you hold your breath as we're encountering these different challenges that bears encounter on their journey. It will teach you different things as we go on this long journey with these creatures. And it'll keep you entertained. So it does everything that I think these films need to do and should be striving to do each and every time. And it does them all very successfully. So that is why I have Bears as the #1 DisneyNature documentary. So that is my ranking. What did you think of how I placed the films? Agree? Disagree? Let me know. And leave your own personal ranking of all of the DisneyNature films you've seen in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. And if you liked this video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on our latest videos. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!